Okay, hey everybody. I obviously am not in class today because we're doing the ACT and I'm one of the proctors for the test. But I wanted to make sure that you had work time today. And so what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through the unit assessment and then make sure that I hope what I'm hoping is to make sure that the directions are clear. If you have questions after today, we can definitely address those tomorrow because you're going to have work time both today and Wednesday. And if something is seriously problematic, you can email me, and I can try to answer emails during the day while we're testing. So one thing before we get started is this is one of 4 unit assessments you're going to have this semester, and this goes into the summative grading category. So I want you to remember that that's worth 50% of your overall grade. So you're going to want to make sure that you're doing your best work on this, okay? The directions that I'm going through are listed at the bottom here. So if we open that up, here is the assignment. And it basically says you're going to do a review of one of the colonies. And so we are trying to make this uh, something that address the historical stuff, but also kind of modernize a little bit in terms of the product that you're making. So I'll show you an example to start with, and then we'll talk about the history. So if you go to this link, there's a website called niche.com, and they have reviews of places to live, places to work, schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of these kinds of websites online now where you can find information about a place, a business, whatever. Okay, so that's kind of the concept that we're working off of is one of these kind of review sites. So you're going to pick a colony and do some work, but this is um, kind of the thinking that we had putting this thing together. So this is a review of Burnsville. What you're seeing here is a map of Burnsville. You see an overall grade. And then as you scroll, you'll see information about the city. So the population, they'll get into real estate. They will tell you about a lot of ads in here. They will tell you about rankings of different kinds, crime and safety. They'll talk about ethnicity and economic diversity, work. We just keep going. There's all kinds of stuff. And then down at the bottom, you have reviews from specific people. So person that apparently moved to Burnsville when they were a freshman in high school, and they're talking about their experience here. Okay. I think that's the end. So if you look at our assignment, it kind of follows that same format. What we're looking for, big picture, is put yourself into time like you're in the maybe mid 1700s. Your colony has been there for a while. You're going to pick one of the 13 colonies. You've been doing research in the textbook and reading in the textbook about these colonies. So you're going to pick one, and then you're going to put together one of these online reviews. Now, this will just be done on a Google Doc, but you're going to try to make it look kind of like an online review. So, in order to get a good grade, you're going to think of the kind of detailed quality review you would want to read in order to make a decision like, should I move to this colony? Is this a good place to live? What are some of the issues here? So we're looking for specific vocab from the textbook, any names of leaders, important events that have happened, in the early period of your colony, the crops that they grow to make money on, how, whatever their economy looks like. That's kind of the stuff that we're going to see in this review. Okay, so at least a page, 12-point font. I'm guessing it's going to go into longer than a page when you add all these things together, but at the very least 1 page. Remember, this is your test for our first 2 units, right? This is how you're going to show what you've been learning. So the specifics, the particulars that I should see when I go to score, an overall rating of the colony. So think of this as kind of the who, what, where, when of the colony. So you'll have an overall rating. Remember in Burnsville, that was the first thing that showed up, right? Overall niche grade. You're going to have your overall rating, A through F, with an explanation of the grade. I should see a map of the colony. I will see information and demographics about the people that live in that colony, the residents. So, who founded the colony, who lives there, where did they come from, why did they found their colony, etc. So, if you picked Massachusetts, you would talk about the Puritans and the Pilgrims and when they came there and why they were pursuing religious freedom and blah, 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 right? You're going to tell kind of the story of that place. How do people make money in that colony? How do they survive? What does their economy look like? What kind of work are people doing? And then last, conflicts and or relations with indigenous people. So in some cases, we studied King Philip's War. In other places, there were different kinds of interactions with indigenous people, but it could be conflicts with other groups. So the first part is really kind of an overview and a history of the colony from the date of its founding through the maybe early to middle 1700s. So you're writing this kind of after this colony's been established for a while. The second piece, worth 10 points, is a review from your resident. And this is where we're going to ask you to pick a perspective. So your review could be from a European perspective, one of the colonists that moved there. So a female that went to Massachusetts and her experience. It could be a review from an indigenous person in that area. And your review could be more of a warning and talking about problems. You could have a review from the perspective of an enslaved person in some of the colonies, particularly Virginia and South Carolina. It could be a review from one of the colonial leaders encouraging people to emigrate to the colony. I mean, this is where we want you to be a little bit creative and show some of the perspectives that could exist. So at least one good review, and then an image that kind of captures the gist of what your review says. So again, this could be really positive, this could be really critical, and talking about problems. However you want to frame this is up to you. And then last, you get 10 points for just the quality of work. So number one, I mean, just like this niche site is pretty easy to find the parts. Things are organized. You can see section divisions, right? It's pretty clear. It's not a jumble. That's what we're looking for with yours. Sections have headings. The reader can navigate through the page. And then secondly, just basic mechanics and grammar and spelling and those kinds of things. So again, this is worth 50 points, which in terms of points isn't enormous, but this is one of 4 assessments you're going to have for the semester, and this will be worth ultimately half of your grade. So these are kind of important points. You're going to want to do your very best work. The last reminder is that whatever I see should be your words. You're paraphrasing today. We're not copying and pasting from websites. Okay, if I see that, that is called plagiarism, and that gets you a 0 on the project. So we don't even want to fool around. Anything more than 3 or 4 words together from a site is plagiarism. If you have questions about how that works, you can click on this link and you can find all kinds of information about plagiarism and how it works. This first link gets you to how to avoid it. Okay, so knowing how to paraphrase, this would be a good place to review if you need to review. I think that covers it. If you think of these bullets under this section for the overall rating as each of those is a piece, and then you think of the review as an additional chunk of the project, then you'll have all the pieces that you need. Today is a work day, so use the rest of the hour to start planning, to gather information, to start putting things together. And then again, tomorrow on Wednesday, if you have any questions, I can address all of those. If anybody's seriously confused, send me an email and I'll do what I can today while people are taking the test. Otherwise, have a good afternoon.